If you really liked Sleeping Gods' cooperative campaign and its choose your own adventure aspect, or on the other hand, if you're wondering whether this game is for you or not, we have 15 games that Sleeping Gods fans tend to enjoy. Which one do you think is number one in this list? Try to guess in the comments before we reach the end of the video. If you think some games in this list don't make sense, or if you'd like me to make a recommendation video for another game, please let me know in the comments. In this list we'll be looking at adventure games, games with an overarching campaign or a legacy aspect, games that tend to play well cooperatively or even solo, with medium to heavy complexity. In number 15 we have Role Player, a game where the entire goal is to create the best RPG character. You play against each other, but the game can be played solo, by the way. There's another role-player game later in this list. Can you guess which one? Imperium Classics is a civilization game where you're trying to progress your empire through multiple eras to gain cultural and scientific advances. Can also be played solo. Role-Player Adventures was the other role-player game I just mentioned, and it's number 13 in this list. It is a cooperative storybook board game. One of the interesting aspects is that you can reuse a character you created in the other game, Role Player. Too Many Bones, another cooperative campaign game by Cheap Theory Games. One particularity of Too Many Bones is the dice building aspect of the game. I'm still debating which Cheap Theory game I want to try next. I'm hesitating between Cloudspire, Burn Cycle, and Too Many Bones. As a sci-fi enthusiast, I think Burn Cycle is more my alley, but I'm still not sure. Do you have any recommendation? Return to Dark Tower is one of those well-made reboots from older games. The actual tower at the center of the game is not just a gimmick, it is an essential component of the gameplay for this fantasy cooperative game. Twilight Inscription is probably the most recent game in this list. It's a sci-fi roll and write 4X by Fantasy Flight. Twilight Inscription has been praised for its innovative gameplay, its art, and the immersive theme. In My Father's Work, you play as mad scientists against each other, earning points by completing dark experiments. This game from 2022 has been quickly climbing the ranking on BoardGameGeek. Vagrant Song shines in this list for its original theme of you playing as a vagrant fighting ghosts in a train. Spirit Island, a game that reverses some of the board game tropes. You play cooperatively as spirits who have to defend their island from invaders. The spirits all have different powers that can work well, or not, together. It's a delight to play, either solo or with friends, once you've ingested the somewhat complex rulebook. Clank Legacy is the legacy version of popular deck builder Clank. This is a cooperative game with some competitive aspects, and gamers have praised its entertaining story. We're now getting to the top 5, with Seventh Continent, a mostly solo game that took a very interesting spin on the choose your own adventure theme, revealing a map as you make your choices rather than having to read a book. Multiple games have extended on this concept since then, but Seventh Continent remains one of the best sandbox adventure games out there. Forgotten Waters is possibly the most lightweight game in this list, both from a complexity and a mood perspective. It is a campaign cooperative game about pirates in a silly and magical world. In number 3, we have Gloomhaven and Jaws of the Lion, which I put together because let's face it, they are the same game. Hey, you wouldn't expect a top 15 list for a campaign fantasy game that doesn't have Gloomhaven in it, right? I have to say though, Gloomhaven's tactical combat is far from Sleeping Gods' resource management gameplay, but as far as campaign games are concerned, you can't really go wrong with Gloomhaven. In number 2 is Destinies, a dark medieval RPG which uses an app to ensure that the adventures stay diverse and fresh. So let's see if some of you guessed number 1 in this list of games for Sleeping Gods players. Number 1 is Pandemic Legacy Season 0. Honestly, any of the 3 Pandemic Legacy games could go in this spot, but I think people tend to like the theme of this game better, as we all get a bit of pandemic fatigue. Season 0 is possibly the best of the 3 games, and it shows that the designers have a lot of experience designing legacy games. That's it for this list of games like Sleeping Gods. Did you have the right pick for number 1? Let me know in the comments if it made sense, and see you next time.